Main stage action continues here in Seattle as we return to our main stage here. And we have our back-to-back two-time defending champions on the stage. Shopify Rebellion looking to complete a three-peat. And of course, they've got a long way to go before they can even consider that and become the Halo World Champions. The other side of the stage is filled by the international spotlight. Essentially a team who have fallen out of that a little bit in recent times, certainly back in Charlotte, but in the history books have certainly led the way for international Halo. And as we always say, if you want to beat the man, you've got to beat the man. And Luminon Gaming have to do exactly that on our main stage.
Yeah, tall task ahead of them here, of course, against, as you said, the defending back-to-back champions in Shopify Rebellion. Game number 1, going to be CTF Fortress here. Of course, 3 flags to win. Let's talk about it. Shopify Rebellion 4-1 on the game type this year. Luminon also a winning record at 2-1, though. We'll have to see just how much gas they have in the tank against your number 1 team in the world currently.
And to be considered one of the best in Halo Infinite, you're going to have to beat a team like Shopify Rebellion, who are renowned now as being one of the best in Halo Infinite. And that has always been the question for this lineup, this Luminon Gaming lineup. Can you get past that hurdle? Can you break through that glass ceiling? Well, showing a little bit of fight here and thinking about pulling off one of the biggest upsets that we would have had is the perfect way to go about it. Snipedrone going to get the first pick here as we start off with the POV of WuTum.
LastShot with very nice timing on that overshield grab. By the way, LastShot in series number 1, if you didn't catch it, he was 1.61 against Akabe Esports, so he's already off to a fantastic start. And Shopify will look to extend their lead even further.
Interesting comparison when we're talking about players and who has to perform respectively for their teams. Well, WuTum is doing what he does best at the moment, which is hitting sniper shots. But you're looking at SLG versus Cykul is something we wanted to highlight coming into this series because some interesting statistics between the two as Glory becomes a statistic himself.
Yeah, 2 different players who are highlighted for 2 very different reasons, actually. SLG, 0.66 against Shopify this year across all of his rosters. He will need to have a fantastic game here. And speaking of, perfectly timed, that's exactly what he does bottom mid. By the way, though, Cykul against Luminon / Nemesis, he's 1.37 this year. So Cykul, the man on your screen, 4 dead. If they want to shut down Shopify on the side of Luminon, they got to shut down Cykul.
They certainly do indeed, and SLG needs to bump those numbers up. Both players do pretty similar things, respectively, for their teams. They're always in and around, being a little bit of a nuisance, outputting damage, trying to stay alive. SLG picking up the sniper off the rip here, actually, was interesting for Luminon Gaming. We know that historically he's one of the best sniper users in all of European Halo. We have seen that kind of passed off the baton to WuTum on the team. Obviously, having that M&K flexibility is certainly something to look forward to when you have that sniper in your hand. But the early flag is going to go, by the looks of things, here to Shopify Rebellion. But with 2 dead, they've got to be careful of the counter cap. But the first strike will go to Shopify.
3 dead. Frosty, ooh, it's LastShot off the spawn who gets the pick. They need to make sure they shut him down. Keep an eye on the feed.
2 dead.
This will go.
And another pick coming in. So even though Shopify do strike first, it's Luminon who get the counter cap immediately and also pick up the next overshield. So Luminon deciding what was happening. Situation they had to prioritize there, and off the back of the counter cap now have 2 dead, and Snipedrone still has half of an overshield.
If they kept WuTum alive here, that would have been big, but it is Snipedrone last player alive, so even though he might get away with some damage, it's an extra shenanigans on the enemy's porch. It really wouldn't have mattered either way. He's essentially in a 1v3, which would have been a 1v4 any moment, so he'll be shut down. But most importantly, for the side of Luminon, they do tie the game 1-1.
3 dead here for Luminon momentarily. WuTum just trying to stay alive under the base. Snipedrone gets a pick, an important one as well. Just to slow down the push, it should be a trade here for WuTum, which is going to send 2 members of Shopify back to their side of the base off the respawn. And with 3 dead on either side, it's become a 1v1. Cykul versus SLG. Cykul's going to win it. The battle that we were talking about at the start of this matchup, well, the first individual fight between the two goes the way of this man.
Kind of goes the exact way you'd expect it based on the stats. As we said, SLG has struggled this year against this team, whereas Cykul has heavily outperformed, and in that 1v1, the statistics rang true once again.
2 dead here for Luminon. Made that 3 dead, although 1 player has just come off the respawn, but that's Glory. Only player alive here, and like I mentioned, just fresh off the respawn in the armory, and Frosty is already lining up his reticle of that fresh sniper rifle he's grabbed to try and take some bodies here and send Luminon back into that death screen.
Has to retreat, though. Would have loved to have connected her. That would have been a very clean 2-man advantage, but now it's a 3-man advantage. SLG, last player alive. Glory spawns up as well.
Only 2 alive, though, for Shopify Rebellion, so Luminon still holding on to control of their base, not allowing that flag to get moved. Frosty trying to connect onto Glory, who just slid under that sniper rifle bullet to get out towards the tower. SOG does not check both ways when he crosses the road. To be honest with you, got away with it, but Glory and WuTum do not. A beautiful double kill coming in from Frosty.
Wow, Frosty just, as you said, played the angle on fences. They don't even check it. 4 dead. SLG not checking fences there is going to cost them so much. Not only the deaths, not only overshow, but it will cost them a flag as well.
2-1 now to Shopify Rebellion as Frosty will run that one home. A killing spree for Bradley Bergstrom as well, who is currently sat at 12-4 in this game. And with that overshield is given all sorts of license just to fly towards the base. And look at Shopify, they're trying to run another one here.
Finally, they might clean out the base, but it's a nice trade from Frosty. Of course, he's going to take 1 extra with him. He ends that stint 13-5.
Luminon going to be very, very careful here. That flag is still out. They've got to send that one back to base. It looks like WuTum is going to manage to do so. Very easy in that situation, Andy, to get carried away. Stop thinking about the simple things in the game, but they prioritize the kill, they prioritize the space, and it was a comfortable return for them. Snipedrone will clear out Cykul as well. Numbers even across the map.
See what Frosty could do now, playing bottom from the arches. And it felt like for a moment, Frosty's going to take the express elevator all the way up to top tower, and actually ends up getting back whacked by Snipedrone, who played the angle perfectly. And now flag on the move.
Flag on the move. Last shot behind enemy lines, though, and Luminon have to be careful here. Even though they're looking for a flagpole, if they don't get these kills and they forget about this man, well, not only would he be able to shut down a flag run, but also there's a counter cap opportunity. And if the counter cap comes in, then Shopify will win this game. They have to deal with this man. And you can tell that Luminon are very aware of the situation.
Aware indeed. LastShot was doing everything he can to not only deal the damage exactly, but also stay alive.
It's a nuisance. SOG says, finally, I'm going to chase you down, and deals with it, but has he bought enough time? The rest of Shopify to get on the map. 2 are still dead. WuTum's running this one home, and we are about to have a tie game here, ladies and gents. The flag goes home. Next flag wins with the overshield popping right now.
Yeah, this is big. It feels like this overshield couldn't really decide it, and a lot of control. Look at the control from Luminon around overshield. This should be their overshield.
WuTum's flying forward as well. They do get the overshield. No burn. Snipedrone's going to have it in his hands. 2 dead on either side at the moment. Royal2 trying to overextend, trying to get onto the Luminon side of the base to make them have to turn around. And now, with angles, they're just chipping away at this overshield, and it's been completely neutralized by brilliant positioning and decision-making from Shopify.
Yeah, really good overshield melting, and even though they forfeit 2 players, it really doesn't cost them entirely just yet, as long as they can keep these 2 alive, especially if Royal2 can stay alive. But here comes the push. Team nade, slows Snipedrone down just a bit.
Sniper rifle, I'm not sure if it was tossed off the map here. In fact, it's going to fall into the hands of Snipedrone. Well, Royal2, uncharacteristically, a little bit slow in this game. 6 and 11 for him. Snipedrone with a nice, quick body shot onto an overextending player from Shopify. And might have an opportunity here to put the game into his own hands.
You get the feeling on the side of Luminon, they're going to be really thankful, of course, that that last flag did not run. Snipedrone connects on a very important shot. They have only 1 alive here. Last player alive is LastShot.
It was such an important kill as well, because Cykul had that sniper rifle for Shopify Rebellion. So by taking him down, it creates the space. It allows the rest of the team to move up to try and get that flag moving. But Shopify, again, defensively superb in that situation. Luminon lose an opportunity here and now have to deal with the flood from Shopify.
A lot to talk about there. How about LastShot going tower, stays alive? Not only that, Frosty off the spawn pre-nades porch. And just like that, with Cykul pushing out basement, they immediately turn the tides. They fly right out of their base with ease to get control of the map once again.
Royal2 with a chance to change the statistics a little bit more into his favor with the sniper rifle in his hand. Connects with a body shot of Glory, but not the head. LastShot will find a kill himself, but WuTum, he managed to get a pick just before that. So 3v3 on the map, but Royal2 will find another to give a little bit of an advantage here to Shopify Rebellion around the mid-map. And with that sniper rifle in his hands, and a snap of that bandit rifle, Royal2 and the rest of Shopify can now move forward. Overshield goes to Cykul.
The speed at which he did that, the falling headshot after the body shot, that was graceful to say the very least.
3 dead for Luminon. Flag is moving. Royal2 still with a snipe. Last player will fall. And now it's just about hitting some bodies and hitting some heads. There's 1, there's 2, there's the flag cap as Shopify Rebellion will win game number 1 here. Fortress CTF 3-2.
Just another day at the office, as you can see from Shopify. Not even really an exchange of fist pounds. It's just another day at work. LastShot goes 19 and 11. in game number 1 and also punches home the first flag. Shopify will outslay with a final score of 60-46 in that category. And big assist numbers from LastShot as well. He puts up 11 assists alongside his 19 kills.
And we were focusing on SLG and Cykul. Pretty similar statistics from both players at the end of that game. Cykul going 15 and 12, SLG going 14 and 13. Glory having a little bit of a rough game though, 8 and 18 for the Irishman. When you're looking at the total difference when it comes to slaying the two teams, that's a big contributing factor.
Absolutely is. And even though we saw 2 flags on the board for Luminon, it felt like Shopify never really lost control of that game. Did not leave a lot to doubt. And they come out firing, and as we said, we've already seen them 3-0-1 team. That was Akabe earlier on the main stage. And now with a well-fought game from Luminon, they still will get game number 1 on the board in this series as well, heading us into Slayer Solitude.
Interesting to highlight as well, if you haven't been watching and keeping up to date with some of the scrim results and the practice schedule that's been going on between a lot of these teams, including Luminon Gaming, who stayed out, of course, at the Shopify Rebellion facility. So they're very thankful, actually, to Shopify Rebellion for giving them an opportunity to practice. Both of these teams actually played 4 LAN series against each other twice, and it was heavily in the favor of Shopify Rebellion. This man here needs to pop off in this next game, though. This Slayer game type, you're looking at, of course, WuTum on your screen, the keyboard warrior. You look at the KDs, you look at the kills per minute. I mean, stats from HCS Charlotte from this man, superb.
I mean, unbelievable Slayer stats from him. And he's going to have to do that again here, especially because when we look at the records, they once again heavily favor Shopify Rebellion on Slayer Solitude. Rebellion is 4-2 on the year on this exact map game type combination. Luminon, though, losing record once again, 2-4. So they will need to turn this around, otherwise they will find themselves in quite a hole in this series.
Well, Game 2 Solitude Slayer is about to get underway here, and with Shopify Rebellion 1 up in this series, Luminon, you feel like if they want to extend the series, need to steal away this Slayer. Camo, of course, top middle, shock rifle. Going to be a big focus for both teams, but when it comes to statistics, I think one thing for Luminon, they've got to make sure they're not getting baited in by Shopify. They're so good, Shopify, putting a couple of shots into you, dragging you into position, and backing down for someone else to finish off that kill. They're bait and switching, in my personal opinion, the best that we have in the HCS right now.
Certainly, and they have continued to look better and better in that regard as the year has gone on. And as we know, the placings have certainly backed up that fact as well. Of course, this team on back-to-back wins and looking for a world championship here as well. Sounds like based on player movement, we'll have a false start there. We'll get that one started up once again for you in just a moment. We'll have to wait to jump into game number 2. But as we were starting to say, I think it's important to note that for Shopify, this is not just about the three-peat. This is not even just about a world championship weekend. I think they know as well as anyone that with the way that the game works, with the way that the eras of competitive games work, there's only one team that will be remembered here this weekend as the best team to play Halo Infinite, right? And a little bit of that is admittedly recency bias. It might be a little bit unfair, but for the years to come, the question of who are the best Halo players in the world will be whoever takes this World Championship trophy, and Shopify Rebellion is certainly aware of that.
I mean, it's almost 4 years of competitive play lead to this tournament. We've had changes in game types, modes, starting weapons, what's available on the map, sandbox, whatever it might be, but all of the players who are on our main stage right now have fought through those changes, have fought through those moments to find ourselves where we are. This is the highest level of Halo Infinite that we have had throughout those years, with the amount of games and practice under the belts of all these players and teams. So, recency bias is one thing, but if you put it into that context, and you're leaving with a 3-peat and a Halo World Championship, Shopify Rebellion will be remembered as that team.
Taking a look here, as we said, Slayer Solitude records, we just went through those. Of course, once again, heavily in the favor of Shopify. That becomes even more the case in game number 3. So, Mark, that really starts to talk to you about just how important that game number 2 really is. Interestingly, though, of course, only a limited amount of lattice oddball for these two. So game 4 is a toss-up if Luminon can force us there. And then still winning records for both teams on Live Fire Slayer.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one, right? You're looking at the records between the two teams. No surprise, Shopify Rebellion, #1 seed coming into the tournament. Double champions, they're going to have great map records. But when you start to focus in on the losses, that's interesting, because you get to that game 5 and you look, they've lost it a couple of times, the Live Fire Slayer. You put that into context of how many games they win. that gives you an opportunity. LastShot ball as well, very new, 1-0 for both the records. So if you're Luminon and you're looking at this right now, you can steal away a Solitude Slayer, even though your record's not great. It's been lost twice by Shopify Rebellion. So there is an opportunity here if you can get out to a good start.
Certainly, and as we said, they'll want to take it because looking down the barrel of a game 3 with a 6-0 record, they have not lost it. So they cannot apply that same logic to game number 3. It goes without saying. But also one thing that's worth noting is you and I are looking at these stats backstage before this series and thinking, wait a second. Not only is Shopify so good at strongholds, but also they're going up against players who once held, I think, all-time strongholds records on Quadrant. So interesting to note just how good they look, but we will get there when we get there. Game number 2 instead is the focus, not just for us on our screens, but also for Luminon to make sure they stay alive in this series.
So a little bit of a full start here. We'll head into Slayer Solitude now as game number 2 of this best of 5. By the way, I'm so gassed for Sunday because we got that best of 7s coming in. It's like, it just makes it feel so much bigger than it has at our other majors and other tournaments we've had in the build-up to this point. But best of 5s here at Pool Play. And for Luminon, opening strategy, I feel like it's really important in this one. If they can get out to a good start, get a camo, deny a camo, get a shock rifle, you give yourself a little bit of belief as we head in towards game 2.
And I think for Luminon also, you need to make sure they're not playing scared, right? Bring the aggression, bring the pace, even though you're going up against the world #1 right now. Show that you can bounce back, as we discussed earlier, from a rough Charlotte tournament and come into the World Championships here ready to play.
Well, it's 2-2 at the moment. A couple of kills being split across the board. I'm not sure who got the camo. It was actually Snipedrone. He's going to be able to find LastShot, and that's such an important kill, based not just upon the numbers, but the fact that that was the shock rifle. Cykul going to be challenging from middle as well, and Snipedrone wins his ones. That's going to be vital here for Luminon, and they're going to have to do a lot more of that. The 1v1s, those isolated fights, they quite simply have to win.
And of course, easier said than done against the players of Shopify. It feels like statistically, when you really look at the stats of all players in the league, especially within the top 4 teams, it just feels like it's such even numbers across this team of who's doing the hard work.
I don't know how Royal 2 is alive. There were 3 players that flooded towards blue as Royal 2 was the only player isolated there. And Royal 2 has just gone down. He got a kill, survived the entirety of the push, and the rest of Shopify Rebellion were able to get into position to pick up all of those kills. It's what this man does. One of the hardest kills in the history of Halo.
2 dead though, so Royal 2 needs to play this slow from bottom middle, but he's going to have a lot of information here and know that no one's pushing LR just yet, which will give a lot of space for Shopify to start to move around the map, and they also very wisely clean up S2 behind them.
2-2-2, all the 2s here for Royal 2. 2 kills, 3 assists now as his damage will be cleaned up, and WuTum might be the next assist. Another assist popped up here. SLG, he'll be taken down as well. Another assist here for Royal 2. That's 5 and 3 in a row, and now he picks up the kills. And Shopify, their teamwork, if you needed an example of it, it is on display from the reticle and the POV we're watching right now.
Royal 2 finally taken down, but not before going narrowly into the lead here. Frosty will pick up number 15. Let's get into a listen now with Shopify Rebellion. Two first blue. Here.
Two seeking.
Bottom mid marker. That's all in the repo.
We check weak item twice.
And 2 freeze.
What's your Xbox? Oh yeah, truck. What you turn? Yo, benches in top mid.
One touch you. Yo, high by.
We go on far as you want.
Look at everyone.
You came up posted, I just saw him Xbox. You just wait. LR, no, probably me.
Watch your bottom mid.
Yeah, I think he's S4 camo. I think I just saw him. Yeah, I swear. Get the top gold. You should top gold. Yo, we see. Yo. 22 free kills. Nice, guys.
Yo, let's get to white.
Two time. Both lift down with camo. Two, they spawn there. I'll spawn there.
I broke the field.
Top side, After side left.
I got him.
After side left.
Watch your bet.
I'm gonna see him. Side left still. Yeah, Brad, you're different. I have you. Brad, spawn here. Top side, Glory to it. Top gold.
Yo, which way?
Dip, put him, I'm dead a bit. He's under blue window.
Let's do it.
I came out.
Well, it's a comeback in this game, and it's a change of the lead. Luminon Gaming off the back of the listening with Shopify Rebellion. You saw some big shots being hit And the biggest one, probably by this man on your screen, falling away, no shield, just blades. Royal 2 across map. But ever since then, Shopify Rebellion just found their composure here, and Cykul will pick that sniper rifle back up. The shot rifle now in his hands.
Yeah, 4 unanswered kills there as it swings back to 24-21. It's a really good response from Shopify. Cykul going to try to just scurry away and stay alive on glass. He's able to do so thanks to some well-placed geometry on that ledge. He will not take the nade damage. Here he comes once again.
6 kills now, the difference between the teams. Cykul still with the shock rifle in his hands. 1 pick from him. You would expect Shopify Rebellion to flood and try and overwhelm the remaining members of Luminon Gaming. Damage being done, but Snipedrone with his 10th kill of the game. We'll get that first pick. SLG finds another. WuTum down to no shields, but a little bit of space and a little bit of breathing room momentarily here for Luminon. But 30-24, that 6 kill difference between the teams still looms.
Quite a big difference, especially when you go up against an opponent like Shopify Rebellion. They're not likely to make a ton of mistakes to allow you an easy way back into it. Certainly not over just yet, but big trade there, 2v2 on the map.
Yeah, really important trade there as well, because it felt like WuTum is going to be in one of those frustrating positions where you do a lot of damage, you don't get the kills due to the teamwork and the bait and switching on display from Shopify Rebellion, but at least gets out of it with a 1 kill, 1 death scenario. Another trade comes in here for WuTum, but it's a double kill on the side of Frosty, and at 29-34, Glory picks up a kill himself. Luminon are just starting to close in a little bit here. They're starting to find the numbers, but LastShot's got away with this camo.
Big moment here. Only up by 2. See what he can do.
Finds 1, takes no damage whatsoever. 2 dead for Luminon. 3 kills the difference between the 2 teams. Camo still in the hands of LastShot. SLG's going to slide out onto the truck here. Might be able to get an angle, but damage is coming in all over the place at the moment. Not only from the POV of LastShot, who's just desperately trying to get damage down to get his teammates out of this spawn, but also from Luminon. They're picking up kill after kill at the moment, and it's now a 2-kill game.
Yeah, even with so much info, LastShot finally gets another kill, but you'd think with the timing, the info, the camo, that they would have a much bigger lead than just 3 kills here.
10 kills to go, though. This is the problem for Luminon. Death becomes a problem. Staying alive becomes priority for them. Can't trade in this situation. It's very difficult to find easy opportunities to take down Shopify players without trading in this situation here. A trade immediately. Shopify move 1 closer, and that gap remains between the 2 teams.
LastShot gonna also go for a little spree here, and if he checks the chimney, might find a target-rich environment.
But WuTum gets 1. And they find 2. And all of a sudden, it's a 2-kill game with the shock rifle going into the hands of Luminon. Wow. WuTum has the game in his hands. Big shots with his shock rifle, and Luminon have a real chance.
Here they come. Pressure coming in. Snipedrone picks up 1, but big snipe push coming in on WuTum. That will be another change of the shock.
It's Royal 2 with a double. It's Royal 2 with a triple. 4 dead for Luminon Gaming. One of the most experienced campaigners we have in Halo. Might have just won his team this game.
Too strong of a push from Shopify Rebellion there. Perfectly executed. Oh my, picks up another one. 47 on the board.
LastShot will win his individual as well, and it's a 4-kill difference with just 2 more to go here for Shopify Rebellion. LastShot gets the information. Trapped at the back of Tram are Luminon Gaming. Glory gets a trade, but it's not going to be enough if they want to win this game. Cykul gets the final 1, and Shopify Rebellion find themselves up by 2 now, as they will take Solitude Slayer and move within 1 game of the sweep.
50-45, your final score, and once again, Shopify making the late game look very under control, to say the least. Taking a look at some of the big numbers there is once again Frosty, 14 kills to his name. Royal 2 with 13 as well, and leads the game in assists.
Really solid damage output just consistently from Royal 2 in that game. Every time you're on his POV, you can just see there's a run of about 3-4 assists in a row, and then once having contributed to kills, he turns his attention to damage from other teammates. I think that's very underrated about Royal 2 that really isn't talked about enough. It's his position and his map awareness as to where damage is and where his opponents are. He will never be in a position where he's too far pushed up that he can't output damage and escape with his life. But as soon as damage is done, he is so quick at taking that space and moving forward And also, he's pretty good at winning games in big moments. That triple kill, a great example.
Exactly, and I think the perfect example of what you just described is the fact that once they had a player weak, it was going to be WuTum there. Even though he had shock, they didn't waste any time. They fly up posters, they fly to S2, they send 2 to wrap the corner, and Royal 2's the one who picks up not only the kill, but also the snipe to get the triple. And a lot of other teams that were not as quick on their feet in decision-making would not push Snipe as fast as they did. Really nice job from Shopify to close that one out comfortably. And that now sets us up once again for Stronghold's recharge. Take a look at the stats this year.
Heavily in the favor of Shopify Rebellion. We mentioned their Strongholds record, 13-1 across the season. Luminon Gaming, 5-8. Not the greatest, 13th in the rankings, whereas Shopify Rebellion will hold down that first place. And also, you look at that streak. Shopify Rebellion are on a 12-game Strongholds win streak. If you're on the Luminon side of the stage and you're watching back in Europe, you're probably a little bit concerned about that.
That also tells us, of course, because with a 13-1 record, that they also haven't lost it in ages, right? Because they went 1-1 and then are on a 12-game streak. Unbelievable. In terms of recent history on this game type, no surprise, it's Shopify Rebellion looking very good. And as we said, 6-0 on this specific map and game type combo. Shopify now 1 game away from their second 3-0 of pool play. We'll see if they can end it here on Recharge.
Shopify Rebellion enjoying the international competition at the moment. Akava Esports 3-0. Luminon Gaming on the precipice of receiving a 3-0. Suddenly doing North America proud here. Our Shopify Rebellion, but Stronghold's Recharge, we know that this can be a game type that gets snowballing. And if, and it's a big if, Luminon can get out to a good start here, get a little bit of control, then they might be able to get that snowball rolling. But with Cykul and LastShot picking up the first kills and the camo immediately being picked up here, they're already 3 dead, and this is not looking good for Luminon.
Wow, 3-man push bottom middle there. Perfectly executed in terms of Shopify grabbing Camo and Frosty getting away with it, already putting it to use in multiple ways. Kills on the board, also caps bottom mid, will get grapple, and presumably, yes, will grab the shock.
I'd love to go back and watch that opening strategy. Like you say, just that it felt like a big flood, a big commitment to bottom middle and just overwhelming the more standard opening strategy that did come in. And now Frosty has all the toys at the moment. He's like the rich kid at Christmas.
We're all jealous. But hey, if there's one kid who's got to have the toys, I think we're fine with it being Frosty. And man, is he ever putting on a show, a double kill. And WuTum might be next. It's traded out before he can even help. And now just grappling to help on each side of the map. Amazing positioning, amazing opening from Frosty.
There's Luminon, who are currently scoring. 17 points on the board initially, but Snipedrone, who was last alive, managed to somehow scarper into a position where he was able to convert C and be a little bit of a nuisance. But there is the trade from both sides, a killing spree off the rip. But Snipedrone did a phenomenal job in that position.
Big trade to be jumping up to C plat from a disadvantageous position. Glory also picks up an important kill. That was 4 dead, and now we'll see what they can do. Initial damage already going in. And they will now flip A to begin scoring once again, and we essentially have a tied game here.
Have a tied game. We have 2 players over at Pipes and Gold for Shopify Rebellion, but look at the damage. Glory can't even move across Turbine without taking multiple shots from multiple angles. And Shopify just set up so well around the map that you can't move without taking damage. Luminon, who felt like they were in control for a second there, now they're 3 dead. And they're about to be under a triple cap.
Now, this is not a statistic that the game tracks, but it feels like any time a team gets an advantage on Shopify, their percentage for breaking the setup on the first push is unbelievably high. Look at that. The second that we saw Luminon scoring, all it takes, as you said, was a perfect team shot and a perfect clean break. And Shopify is right back in control of the game, the strongholds, and also the scoreboard.
43 points and rising here with the AB hold. 3 dead though for Shopify. And a little bit of an answer back actually coming from Luminon Gaming. Snipedrone has to back down here as multiple players from Shopify turn their attention to him. And even though Luminon have turned A and C into their control, it's only going to be momentary because Frosty has got himself that next camo and Snipedrone's hunting him down. And Frosty has to disengage here.
Nicely done. Snipedrone had very good shots there, by the way, in a hard battle against Camo, but finally Frosty, of course, is going to win that one. It's all just too much of a task to take down a Camo Frosty, and he will stay alive here at control.
Williams going to be picked off bottom middle as well. Such a tight game at the moment, though. Even though we've seen triple caps, it's only been a flicker of a triple cap. Both teams have done a really good job of just making sure that They get the numbers, and they fight back for one of those strongholds. It only is a triple cap for a few moments, which means the scoring isn't getting out of hand either way. AB still the hold here for Shopify Rebellion. Luminon starting to lose numbers as WuTum loses his head.
Almost the second shot from LastShot as well. He goes to glass and might even get away. He knew he had the strong side away just because he knew the pressure was coming. But hey, in the end, it's Royal 2 who comes away with the shot, so still a pretty good deal in the end for Shopify Rebellion.
Looking like a little bit of an exchange of strongholds here. C will be flipped for A in the favor of Shopify Rebellion, so they will keep scoring. Frosty finds the perfect onto WuTum. That's going to give them a little bit more space. With LastShot finding another kill, and Royal 2 finding the third. Now you are going to see that push. Royal 2 swinging through the trees and connecting with the shot as well. This will be a scary moment for Luminon. The triple cap is on the cards here for Shopify.
Tarzan-esque indeed. Here he comes, and he's not done yet. Even though SLG goes for the remote detonation, it will not be enough. Reset by Royal 2. BC firmly in their grasp. Now they're going for A.
Oh, don't jump! Because it's going to hurt when this man has an easy shot like that. A double kill for him. SLG, you're certainly in the scary part of the waters here, as Royal 2 started to walk forward and just take this game over. A triple cap for Shopify Rebellion off the back of masterful control of the shot coming from Royal 2.
Amazing. The second time we've seen the grapple shock really be a factor, but even more so in that last exchange. So well done by the entirety of Shopify, and now they're just continuing to collapse.
Oh, they're
it's
in the
3
blender.
dead yet again.
They are in the blender. Luminon cannot get back on the map. WuTum's next. He's down 3 dead once again. That is back-to-back 3 deads for Luminon. And with the camo coming up in just a few seconds as well, it's very difficult to fight for it if you're in the death screen.
Unreal game control here, and of course a lot of credit to Coach Bestman this entire series for having this team on the same page, and also just complete map and power of control. The entire series, it's a killing spree for Frosty as well. 152 to 47 now.
Yeah, now it is starting to get out of hand. You're looking at the statistics as well, even with Shopify 2 dead. Cykul, 5 and 6, -1, but 9 assists, leading the lobby. Royal 2, 14 and 8. LastShot, 11 and 6, 15 and 6 for Frosty. On the other side, not too much to talk about. It's only Glory who's positive. Everyone else is really hurting in this game.
That's what I'm talking about. Take a look at the stats. As you said, even though Cykul is generally your kind of outlier, as we said in the previous series, or even against this Luminon gaming team at a 1.66, the fact that he is the assist leader, and now everyone else has huge numbers in the double-digit kills. It really, every time you see Shopify, it's a different player stepping up, or the entire team stepping up, and that is also the case yet again here.
Okay.
However, it was 4 dead, and Luminon scoring at the 75-point mark.
But who gets the first kill in a 4 dead situation? Somehow LastShot does. Somehow LastShot, as one of the first players back on the map, gets the first kill and puts the pressure back onto Luminon.
And what do we say? If you take an advantage for just a second, somehow Shopify finds a way to break your setup immediately, because the talent across this team, they'll find the gap. They will find the break in the armor, and that's exactly what they do yet again.
3 dead for Luminon, shot back in the hands of Shopify. This time it's Frosty, who gets to have a little bit of fun here. WuTum, he's going to get one in the backside. Glory might get one in between the ears, and instead almost whips onto SLG.
No.
And speaking of whipping, he's taken to the skies and puts Snipedrone on his back. Frosty's having fun out here.
Frosty just hits the eject button, just grapples across the map, stays alive on A-Cat. And now B and C flipping for a potential triple cap. Yet again, unbelievable here.
Yes, the triple cap though, somehow going the way of Luminon by the looks of things. Snipedrone trying to push into tower, trying to clean up the one shot, does manage to do so. Glory's found one, Snipedrone's found one as well, and Royal 2, even though he gets that kill, it's a 2v2.
Last player alive.
And Frosty finds himself as last man standing. WuTum's trying to push him. Frosty nopes out of there.
Gotta be so obnoxious here. Frosty still stays alive. Triple cap, by the way, still in effect for Luminon. So even though this has been a lot of fun to watch at top control, the points have not yet been racking up in their favor. And this game is getting dangerously close, but a very important grapple comes in for a camo grab here.
Scorpion-esque from the top of tower there. Frosty says that camo, get over here. And now he pops it, jumps back inside of B to try and convert this final stronghold into the hands of Shopify Rebellion. And what was a triple cap a few moments ago for Luminon? Well, now it's a Shopify one.
Once again,
with the camo Frosty running about. That's a problem.
Frosty does so well to stay alive and control, knowing he has the grapple angle and knowing what would happen if they played their cards right. And just like that, the triple cap was devastating. And even though C will flip, the AB hold now still ticking away at 212 points.
Killing spree here for Frosty, by the way, who's 20 and 8. in this game. I will say that one more time. Frosty is 20-8 in this game. And for a second there, I thought I might have misspoken as he was looking for his 21st kill. Royal 2 will pick that one up though, and this might be number 21. Glory's in the blender, has no idea where they are, and that will be 3 dead for Luminon, and we might be closing in on the end of this game.
By the way, Shopify outslaying by 32. They're outslaying 72-40 at this stage in the game. I mean, absolutely dominant, and now a trip cap once again at the 232 mark.
Looks like we're on the road home here for Shopify Rebellion. Snipedrone inside of B, the reset should come in. SLG is going to try and contest it. It's desperation from Luminon. WuTum wins the individual though, and there's 3 dead for Shopify. So this is the last roll of the dice, but Royal 2 just cuts down WuTum as he's about to step in that stronghold and keeps them pinned now A.
Only 10 points to go here for Shopify, and what a late game it's been for them. Even though it was back and forth early on, it has not been the case in the latter stages of this game, number 3.
25 and 15 for Royal 2. He's plus 10 at the moment. 3 dead again for Luminon. BC in their control. Glory trying to make a desperate play towards C, as are Luminon, to keep this game going. But with everybody else from Shopify flooding towards C, they will continue to score. A desperate play on B. The last stand from Luminon is inside of this stronghold.
Oh, now all eyes on A here with the flip. A gonna flip for Shopify.
A's gonna go to Shopify. No one's there to stop it. That will be game, set, and series. Going to your back-to-back champions, Shopify Rebellion, perfect so far in pools, as they will sweep aside Luminon 3-0.
And really another example of what Shopify fans have come to expect from this team in pools. Whether it's an international matchup or a North American one, they tend to have very, very clean pools. 3-0, generally maybe 9-1, 9-2 overall. This time, they're so far 6-0 in pools, as they will win back-to-back series at 3-0.
And don't get this mistaken here. This is a Luminon team who have placed top 6 3 times this year.
Yep.
Carve Esports earlier on in the tournament, who they won 3-0 against very convincingly, broke international boundaries last event, placing top 8. These aren't bad teams. But Shopify are just that damn good at the moment, and they just feel like they get better and better with every time that we see them on this main stage.
I think that's what is dangerous for the rest of the league. I couldn't agree more. Every time Shopify has gone on this stage, really since the mid-season mark, and you could even say earlier in the year, they slowly start an upward trajectory that continues to this day. And as you see here, your series layout, a very, very clean win for Shopify Rebellion. Your final score there, 250-122. In that Strongholds game number 3. And even though games 1 and 2 were a little bit more respectable, a little bit closer for Luminon, a few things to be proud of, but largely Luminon will have to look forward to the rest of the pool and their bracket to show up in a big way, because I'm not going to lie, even though I think they showed up in this series, I don't think they really instilled confidence that they would want for the rest of the tournament bracket.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at that. Some close games, game 1 and 2, relatively close, but it never felt like Shopify were going to be in a position to lose those games. So for Luminon, certainly some more work to do. For Shopify, looking as good as ever and looking like they're on Halo World Championship form. We're going to throw it back to the desk though. So Lottie, after that series, take it away.